before. I don't know if I should be looking at YouTube or the Google
No,
Hangout.
you're fine as you are. You're fine as you are, Heather, honestly. Don't worry.
Guess what picture you said, Tate?
Okay, Caroline, you're live.
Good evening. I'm CarolineStephens. I welcome you to Wake Up UK. It's Monday evening, the 11th of March. We're ahead of a few important votes in Parliament this week. But are they important? Is anything going to change? Joining me in tonight's discussion, I've got my new wingman, Ben Emlyn-Jones. I think you've met Ben on a few previous occasions. And I'm going to introduce two new faces, MikeClarke and HeatherRichardson, or rather they're going to introduce themselves. So firstly, Ben is going to keep in touch with our YouTube link, and he's going to see your comments with a bit of luck, and then going to feed back into the show. So Ben, would you like to introduce yourself? And then once you've introduced yourself, I'll pass on to Heather and Mike. Over to you, Ben.
My name is Ben Emlyn-Jones. Good evening, everybody. I'm back on the show. I am a ex-hospital porter. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm a Brexiteer. I'm a free speech extremist. And I really, really like being a part of this show because this is where we get to the truth, the kind of things that the mainstream media doesn't dare talk about. That is what's really going on behind the scenes in politics, behind all the media lies and behind all the deception that the mainstream political system is trying to hoodwink the British people and the people of the world beyond. So I'm very much looking forward to a really, really good live stream tonight. And I'd like to welcome everyone who's listening.
Thank you, Ben. And over to you, Heather. You met me on my timeline on Facebook. Would you like to introduce yourself? And I think we were going to talk about Brexit. So over to you, Heather.
Yeah, my name is Heather. I'm a visionary, and I enjoy talking about Brexit and exposing the truth.
Fantastic. And Mike, you're calling in from Spain. Would you like to introduce yourself and just give us, say, a couple of minutes intro about what you've been up to while you're in Spain?
Yeah, okay. My name is MikeClarke. I'm a Brexiteer too, like other people on the show. I also suffered, along with my my old age pensioner disabled mother, some injustice in the UK, which led to me doing quite a bit of research as to how the courts were getting away with what they were doing. And in the end, we had to flee the United Kingdom because they wanted to put me in prison for contempt of court, or so-called contempt of court, in 2013. And we was living abroad from 2008 because we'd emigrated, but the Court of Protection, who were dealing with my mother's affairs, was committing maladministration and theft of her affairs, and I was trying to expose that. And during that exposure, they were attempting to get me into prison to silence me effectively for 3 months, which would have separated me from caring for my mum, which I've been doing for 22 years. Unfortunately, we got back over to Spain, and we've been here protected from various matters. But we can't enter the country. My mother, the family have had several great grandchildren born during the last 5 years. There's been births, deaths and marriages, which my mother has not been able to attend, because the last time we went to see the consulate on this matter, the judge sent an order that my mother could return, but he wanted her to surrender her passport. Now, my mother was deemed as incapacitated from an accident. And in reality, we produced 4 doctors' reports that she had capacity, but the court wanted to hold on to the award and the money that she had, which they have asset stripped, such cash down to 0, and they would not let us sell her property to move to a villa in Spain. They've kept hold of the property as well in the UK. It's quite a very complex case, and we've had to literally flee the UK to actually, be safe, as it were, from the clutches of them doing what they're doing, which is asset stripping the elderly. And
Mike,
yeah.
can I just interrupt? I think you've said that you've seen my interview, or one of the interviews I did with Len Lawrence a couple of weeks ago, and he had his property and his possessions seized by the Court of Protection, as I understand. And once they get control of your assets, they can just basically do what they want with it. And that presumably happened to your mother.
That's exactly what has happened to my mum, to the point where I think they was trying to put her in a care home and try and gag me, silence me from speaking out about the frauds which were ongoing on my mother. And we're not the only people. Len is another person, and there are thousands of others who were suffering the same fate. So, you know, I believe it's partly due to a lot of the courts have been affected by EU directives, and this I'm quite in favour of this Brexit, because I think the United Kingdom should get its own laws back, predominantly due to what's happened to us and how you are treated as a ward of court and a ward of the state. And this all stems back to in my opinion, to the birth certificate, the all caps name, and the fraud that all goes alongside it.
Right, okay. So have the courts in the UK tried to implement a European arrest warrant?
No, because apparently we were actually what you might term as so-called on the run for a while, thinking that was the case. But eventually John Hemming, I was speaking to John Hemming, who was an MP at the time. He's not now, of course. But he said, Mike, you can settle down, because they can't issue an arrest warrant, because a sentence has to be 12 months or more. And yours was only 3 months. So there's no way they can issue a European arrest warrant to extract you from Spain. I'm
honest, Mike. You know, it's not for me to say something different to John Hemming, but as my understanding is that Poland, for example, issues more European arrest warrants than any other EU country, and you can actually have a European arrest warrant issued for something for a driving offence. So I'm not so sure about that. Maybe somebody can help us who's watching tonight. But anyway, so thanks for introducing yourself, Mike. We're going to talk about initially a bit about Brexit. I basically exposed about the Lisbon Treaty about 4 weeks ago. Since then, I've had about 20,000, best part of 20,000 people watching my Lisbon Treaty video, me wearing a yellow vest, because I just realised that we hadn't reneged on the Lisbon Treaty. The Lisbon Treaty was still valid, and none of our MPs were aware of it. Now, as an event about 10 days ago, and I actually spoke to John Mills, of the major donor of the Labour Party, I believe, and major donor of Labour Leave. And I did point out in front of 200 people at the Bruges group, I did say, have you read the Lisbon Treaty? He said yes, and he agreed with me what a severe situation the UK now finds itself. This is UK PLC, I must add. So, you know, I went through some of the points, how we're going to end up with the common taxation system. And in actual fact, I have a round-robin email system. And we found an article from The Independent in January, which basically said that due to the Lisbon Treaty, it is very likely now that by June we will have a common taxation system. So common taxation system from Brussels, that will be whether you live in Spain, France, Italy, Portugal, or the UK. And Ben, what have you been reading in the press today about the government and them kicking the can yet again into the long grass?
Yes, they are. This is exactly what we predicted. At the moment, Theresa May is she's in Strasbourg at the moment, talking to the European Commission, trying to persuade them to accept a deal that she doesn't want them to accept, and she doesn't want British MPs to pass in Parliament. As we explained on previous shows, Theresa May's deal is deliberately intended to be as unpalatable as possible so that all the MPs will reject it. The first deal was rejected by the biggest government defeat since 1922. This next one is going to be very, very similar. This is intentional. She doesn't want this deal to be accepted. As I said, this is sabotage. This is throwing spanners in the works. What is going to happen, what May hopes, is that the deal will be rejected and Parliament will choose not to leave the EU without a deal, in which case she will then appeal to Brussels to extend Article 50. This is what she wants. She will try and extend it as much as possible. Some people have said a couple of weeks, some people have said 1 month, 3 months, some people said an entire year it'll be extended. Now, there'll only be one period of extension, so it'll probably be the longest extension possible. In that time, she's hoping to maybe wangle a second referendum. And it hasn't actually been helped by the garden gnome of Parliament, Jeremy Corbyn, leader of the opposition.
Oh, I thought you meant John Burkow then.
Now, Jeremy Corbyn, after 3 years of swearing he wouldn't do it, and after 40 years of being before that of being a Brexiteer, or a Eurosceptic as they used to call them, he's now deciding he's going to back a second referendum. So he's appealing basically to the new core vote of the Labour Party, which is basically the left-wing middle class. The second referendum, if there is a second referendum, the powers that be will not make the same mistake they made in 2016, and they will be sure to fix it. The good news is, as the saying goes, the whole world is watching, and other European nations are certainly watching, and some of them are actually more advanced than us in their independence movements, particularly Austria, like other areas of Eastern Europe. And as soon as it becomes obvious that Brexit is a lobster pot in politics, you get into it, but you can't get out, that is going to expose for everything, the entire scam that it is. And honesty like that, in politics, when politicians want to do something so malevolent, is suicidal. So that we cannot lose this one. If Brexit is cancelled, in a way it will be better, because the demise of the actual superstate will be quicker, and probably it will result in Brexit anyway. Unless we want to be the only country in the European Union, then you might as well just rename it Britain.
Well, I did notice that Theresa May went abroad today, and she was wearing a hat. Now, a lot of people wear hats if they're going racing or they go to a funeral. Now, whose funeral is she going to?
I wondered. I'm not sure, actually. Is it Lord Kinnock? I hope so. I won't weep for him.
Heather, over to you. What would you like to say about Brexit? Because I think you've got some quotes from the Bible there, haven't you?
Yes, I do. I'll keep it short and to the point. So in the Gospel of Daniel 2, it talks about 4 symbols in the Bible that represent the end times. So the first symbol is the head of the statue, which is made of gold, and that represents the king. And then you've got the chest of arms, which is silver.
Can I just interrupt you? When you say the head is gold and that represents the king, are we talking about the UK?
Not at the moment, but it does sound likely that in future kingdoms to come, that in the end time prophecy will be fulfilled, and we are dealing with the Antichrist at the moment. It's undeniable.
Right. Okay. And who is the Antichrist?
The Vatican and the Pope in Rome.
Which links us nicely into what Mike was saying earlier about the legal fiction and our birth certificates. Over to you. Sorry, interrupting.
Yep, it does indeed. So getting to the point, the belly and thighs, the third symbol, which is bronze, actually represents the third kingdom to rule over the earth. So at the moment, we could actually argue that we are at the moment experiencing the third kingdom, which is currently ruling, and the fourth kingdom is the last one, which is the legs of iron and the feet are partly iron and baked clay, and that represents the fourth kingdom divided, and it is already divided.
Right. So are we talking about the EU as a whole, or are we just talking sort of more generally with the world? Are we talking about
We're
how do we
talking
break
about
down
the world, but at the moment, I think the European Union is definitely related to the end time prophecy. Can you talk about a divided kingdom?
Right. Anything else to add, Heather?
Yes, if you look at Daniel 3, verses 10 and 11, it actually says about King Nebuchadnezzar issued a decree that everyone who hears the sound of this horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of musical instruments must fall down and worship the image of gold. Whoever does not fall down and worship me will be thrown into the blazing furnace. So it's talking about idols other than God.
Right. So basically, I know it does say. I think yes, we're not supposed to worship any idols apart from our Creator. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And so when we idolize, the love of money is the root of all evil, for example. And I know it's very evident now with the Brexit situation. People are looking for some sort of savior, aren't they, Heather?
Yes, they are. And that is the problem. That is what's dangerous, because, the Pope of Rome has just issued a one world agreement. And they've even spoken recently with the Church of Latter-day Saints about creating a one world religion where it's all one world.
So who would head up the one world religion?
The one world
the Vatican.
Religion, yeah, it'll be like the Antichrist. It'll be everything against that doesn't represent Christianity. We could argue at the moment we don't have any freedom of speech, and that the censorship is taking place, especially with regard to the yellow vests.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was at a yellow vest march on Saturday, and I was accused of being mixing with people who are very right wing, fascist, and they actually have, the people who are against the yellow vest have very inflammatory placards, for example, saying refugees welcome, you are fascist, that you're not welcome. This is very inflammatory when you've got the yellow vests just carrying placards simply saying leave means leave and World Trade Organization rules okay. So at that point, we've got another guest. We've got Alex. Alex is from the Czech Republic. So nobody can say that our shows are not international at all. We've got Mike from Spain, and we've got Alex from the Czech Republic. At this point, Alex, you've just probably missed a bit of what we've been talking about. Heather's on the show for the first time, and she's been talking from the Bible about the end days and how it seems that the prophecies are coming to fruition. We've got Mike in Spain. He and his mum have gone to Spain, and his mother has been subject to, I think, the Court of Protection, and the courts have been able to remove her assets. So we're talking, I guess, about justice. We want freedom, sovereignty, democracy. Alex, you've got a different spin on this. What would you like to say? Because would you like to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about New World Order?
Yes, thank you. And I am very sorry that I have been delayed. It's my usual work that I don't know what happens. So I talked to Caroline early in the afternoon, and I told her that I will join you, but I will sleep a little bit so I will be fresh. And something happened after that, so I couldn't go to bed and directly, and then I'm sorry for this mess. But most of my life I have lived in Sweden. I use name Alexandra JB because my name is so difficult. I was born in Czech Republic, and but when I was young, I moved to Sweden. I study medicine in Uppsala, Sweden, and I'm a medical doctor, a neurologist, and a psychiatrist. And as a psychiatrist, I work mostly with people with personality disorders. It's like psychopathy, or especially emotional unstable personality disorders. And I like my job. And in 2012, I attended a trial in Sweden. We were, I believe, 8 medical doctors, mostly psychiatrists, and the 3 on the bedside, I was on the right side. These 3 were particularly the 3 medical doctors whom I know that they have done some crime before, and they have committed practically crime again in this trial. And I was so surprised. So I was thinking, no, I will not continue to pay taxes for this criminal organization. Before the trial, I didn't know how the justice system in Sweden is criminal. It's called the rotten Swedish court system, den svenska rättsrötan. So I would write a detective story about this trial and describe the judge who she could go to 8 years to prison. What she has done, she has deliberately removed witnesses and so. So I had all the time when something particular happened which changed my life, and it was in the 27th of February 2013. I was in Czech Republic writing my book, would write my book, and I have sent an article to Czech television about, do you remember in Britain you had a case of a spy or secret surgeon agent, Gareth Williams, and he was found dead in a suitcase.
Oh yes, he was. Yes, and he could never have possibly got in there, but they said he did it. Yes.
Yes, and of course he was obviously murdered by the Secret Service. And this article, an article with link. Can you see this?
Yes.
So this I have sent to Czech television, and the name of the article was Spooks Hayward and Williams Linked. And I haven't seen, even when I sent it to Czech television, that there is links to material written by a former Secret Service agent from United States, Trowbridge Ford, about MI5 and MI6, described heavy criminality, and MI6, that the chief by then of the MI5, Jonathan Evans, was the expert of doing false flag terrorism, and the chief of MI6 was a specialist on overthrowing of foreign governments, and it was like many pages of information. And after that, my computer got attacked. I got 1 day later a phone from Sweden. There are English-speaking men trying to ask about you here in Sweden, people that should know who know me, and so it was obvious for me that the Secret Service is after me. So I was trying to check what it's all about, and every day I worked with this, and the Czech Republic was DDoS attacked also in 4 days between 4th and 7th of March 2013, just to take that this information wouldn't enter like the population here. And then I continued to work with it, and in middle of March I had been attacked severely, and this attack, I learned later, was by the head of the Illuminati, the #1 on the pyramid of all.
Wow. Ben, can I just interrupt you a minute? Ben, you are heading up this Hospital Porters Against the New World Order. Have you ever met anybody connected with the Illuminati before?
I've met some people who say they're involved with the Illuminati. I don't know for sure whether all of them are telling me the truth. I know there is an Illuminati. I know that there's a lot of evidence for it, I think, and it's a long and complicated story. But the world is essentially ruled by a few groups of people, a small group of people. Essentially, it's 13 families at the very top. And there is one person who's the chairman of the Council of 13, which sounds to me like the person that Alexandra's talking about. No one knows for sure who that is or how it's been identified unless Alexandra, this person, introduced themselves to you. But they do some terrible things, and of course they have essentially caused a huge amount of destruction over the centuries and thousands of years. What they want to do is they want to create a world in which they have complete control over a population, which is essentially a group of subhuman slaves. That's their goal, the New World Order. I think they're not succeeding. I think people are fighting back, and hopefully that will continue. That's basically why I'm involved in this show. Things like Brexit and all these other things, they might sound much more down to earth and more arcane issues to do with the Illuminati, but they are connected. They are intimately connected, and one affects the other.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ben. What do you think to that, Alex?
The man who is on the top of the pyramid, this is his face. His name is William Van Down, born 20th of May 1963. Belgium, United States, mostly living in the United States. He is the head of the Shadow One World government. Fritz Springmeier has done the research about him, and he's himself now saying that it's not him, like William saying that. What he's saying that he will change. Can you see me? Because
yes, I can see.
Good, you can hear me,
yes.
at least. Because everything is frozen for me now, and he has a YouTube channel, or people who works for him has a YouTube channel, Light Killers, since 2013. It was registered in United States, and like a few months ago, it was changed. The country of all country on the earth to Czech Republic, and it's changed also that it's the YouTube channel of the Antichrist. It's an information which is mixing brutal truth against us, what they want to do with us, or with lies, with deception, with maybe some old stuff that is not valid any longer. So, and why I came so late, they have published a new video 1 day and a few hours ago, and the new video is about that President Donald Trump will be assassinated. So, the Czech Prime Minister was recently in in the White House, but it was, as I see it, two main things that this Czech Prime Minister, who is New World Order, and he is actually Slovak and deeply manipulative person. He is New World Order. He's not working for us. So he has visited White House and he has given as gift a revolver to Donald Trump. And I thought that it is a ritual because I understand the coded language. Now, when you use number 4 somehow, it means Illuminati hit, and you can see it. You can say it with words like D is the second is the fourth letter in the alphabet. So if you say many words with D, 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 it means I will kill you or something like that. And what was surprising for many Czech people, that this prime minister, who was accused to be a former informant of a secret service during the communist socialist time here. So he and the chief of secret service of Czech Republic, who is definitely accused of crime by me, not working for us, they have met the chief of CIA in secrecy. And then on the 10th of, like yesterday, they were published in coded language information on the Illuminati mainstream media that the signaling, that the Illuminati was signaling that they are planning to assassinate the president of Czech Republic, Miloš Zeman, and Donald Trump. And he gave him a revolver. This Czech prime minister gave revolver as a gift to Donald Trump. And in this video, in this new video of Light Killers, which is definitely the YouTube channel linked to William Van Down, the head of Illuminati, there in this video is clearly shown bullets. So it's, you will, Donald Trump will be assassinated and bullets. So it's to shoot him. And also in this video is that they will destroy America, United States. So therefore, I had to work with it. I never know when something new will come that I have to work with it. I know, I understand the coded language of the Illuminati that they use in the mainstream media. Therefore, I am very dangerous for them, because when they are writing that they are preparing a false flag, nuclear false flag, or open the Stargate CERN Hoover Dam, which would be terrible for us. It would be the start of the end for us, as the Illuminati themselves, or William Van Down himself expressed it. If they would open the Stargate, we would be done. It would be end for us, like practically what I see that they want to achieve. So I can see this before, as the other who are in the Illuminati can read it. They use a secret coded language in mainstream media, in your country, in the United States, here in Czech Republic, in Sweden. It's the same international language. And I believe it was developed in the United States, and that William Van Down was involved himself. He says that he has the technology to transfer consciousness into another body of your choice, that's like produced body. It's what he says, and he says that the chosen one by him can achieve immortality this way, but there are too many people on the earth. So bottom line, he will choose some 200 million or a few 100 million of people who will be allowed to live this way, and bottom line also is that these people are hybrids, as he say, or the Nephilim. You have fallen angels who have been together with human.
Okay, right. You're hitting me with quite a lot of stuff, and I'm thinking the audience might be finding a lot of this quite hard to understand. Ben, can you translate this for us?
Yes, certainly.
Yeah, is that okay? Because we're talking about the Stargate and the Hoover Dam. This is a bit that I mean, I know where the Hoover Dam is. I've been to the Hoover Dam, but I don't know the significance of the Stargate side. What I do understand, though, is that the Illuminati and Hollywood and whoever, they do produce films about what is going to happen in the future. So I do understand that much. Ben, can you explain to me from a layman's perspective where we're going? I mean, I know about Nephilim being fallen angels. They came out of the Book of Enoch, and I'm sure Heather could talk about that as well. Ben, over to you, please.
Yeah, sure. I've been interested in the same subjects that Alex is, and so I'm familiar with some of these subjects. Now, a Stargate is essentially a hole within the space-time structure of the universe. So it's like a hole leading to another universe or just to out of the universe. These can occur in nature. For example, a black hole, which occurs in space. But they can be generated artificially with very, very high energy particle collisions. Now, the European Centre for Nuclear Research in Geneva, Switzerland, there's a large device there called the Large Hadron Collider, which is doing this. It's actually creating miniature black holes. And it's the symbolism that Alex is talking about for the Illuminati. It's like there's various occult imagery, which you may see them if you're a Freemason or you've ever been to a Freemasonic lodge. You will see these in many, many other places. For example, there's all kinds of weird buildings in places like Astana in Kazakhstan. They built an entire city full of strange things, and pyramids are one of the symbols you get there. There's also various kinds of, you say, black magic imagery or satanic imagery. For example, at the laboratory CERN, where this machine is, there is there's a statue of Shiva. Now, Shiva is a Hindu god. And this is one of the most potent gods of the Hindu pantheon. It's the god which is responsible for the creation and destruction cycle of the ages, because in Hindu theology, there's no end times. There's just the end times triggers a beginning of another world. Now, that's very, very symbolic. And also, if you look at the actual logo of the organization CERN, it has encoded in it the numbers 666. 666. Now, Heather will be interested in this because the book of Daniel she's familiar with. The book of Revelations says that the number of the beast, that is the Antichrist, will be 666. This is a long, complicated subject, and it's hard to explain it in layman's terms, as you say. But all this filters down into the more rational and more down-to-earth political structures and things that are going on in the world. For example, governments and the EU and things like that. It all comes down into that. For example, there's symbolism within the actual European Parliament. The building is based on a painting by Howard Bruchel called the Tower of Babel. Yeah, and you're familiar with the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel is from the Bible. It was built by King Nimrod. And it was an attempt to build a tower high enough to reach heaven. And that is symbolic of the Illuminati seeking the power of the heavens. In other words, it's a very, very alchemical action to build a tower like that. And indeed, to model a parliament building after that particular painting is very, very strange indeed. And that's just one example we're talking about. The EU is essentially a creation of the Illuminati.
And it's essentially satanic, isn't it?
Yes.
You've got the beast outside as well, the statue, and so on. Heather, are you still there, Heather? Would you like a biblical interpretation of this before I move on to Mike? Heather?
Yes. I don't know much about the Illuminati, but what I do understand is they do represent the Antichrist, and the Freemasons do as well. the mark of the beast is correct. That Ben was saying he's very correct about the mark of the beast.
Right, Mike, is there anything, thank you, Heather. Mike, is there anything you would like to say about this?
Only from the perspective that I was actually in the Freemasons, so I am familiar with Freemasonry, and the more research I did upon it, I only got to grade 3. So obviously you don't really know a lot about it at grade 3. But the more research I did about it, in the end, I realized I was not in an organization that to me was all linked to Satan. And so I resigned. But I am aware of the fact that it doesn't get you out of it. Technically, your name is still there and you're still linked. But again, I do believe it's all linked to what's being said today. But you know, it's a very sad situation that the world's in.
It's interesting, Mike. You mentioned that it doesn't even if you leave in a way you can't leave. There is a way, and I know people who've had a real intense prayer, and they've had that. It's almost like a spell. The oath, because you have to make an oath, and of course we just said at the beginning, you cannot sort of idolize anybody apart from the creator. You cannot actually legitimately swear an oath to anybody apart from the creator. And I guess when you go into Freemasonry, you must have to give some words, and they have to then be broken off you, and that's how you can escape. So there is a way. What do you say?
I do believe that's correct. I have read something about it through a certain way of prayers. Is your only way forward to release yourself from that. I haven't gone through the method, but I did read something about that, so I do believe that's true.
Yeah, I do as well. Now, Alex, would you like to follow on with what we've just been saying?
Yes, I would say also about this Hoover Dam that if you would have time to watch some of the videos of light killers, so he explains this CERN Hoover Dam event, and it's correctly what you are talking about, that he describes it in the technical term that it's a lot of conserved energy that will be used, and that it will they will achieve this way a connection between Earth and Saturn, and that there on Saturn there are waiting these Nephilims and creatures, dangerous creatures for us that would come to Earth this way. And in the biblical term, he explains that it is the abyss or the bottomless pit described in the Bible. It's their words and not mine. And that it's the beginning of the end for the human race. So, but obviously it's something very dangerous. I have seen commercials like from Cartier from 2014 already that is about this opening of this Stargate. And the technology they showed to me, at least, and in the coded language, that they had the technology in the end of 2014, and they definitely wanted to open it many times since 2015. So, but they, one thing is that they inform their own in the Illuminati coded language, and they have the ethics, or it's their religion or ethics, that they have to inform you before they do something evil. So before they would kill me, for example, they have to inform me, and they do it in coded language. And of course, I do something so that they don't do it. So it's like,
wow, this is getting serious, isn't it? Ben, have you got? Alex, can I just ask Ben? Ben's looking in the chat room to see if there are any comments. Ben, have we got any questions from anybody in our audience for the people on the show tonight at all?
Right, I've had someone's Harold Chapman is asking, why do Freemasons love the number 33?
Oh, who can answer that? Mike, you were a Freemason. Do you have any idea before I ask Alex?
Well, the only thing I can answer to that, there are 33 levels of Freemasonry. The first 3 are what takes you into being a Master Mason, and then the levels just go up from there. But there are 33 of them, like the presidents of America usually are all 33rd level Freemasons. And that's probably all I know about it.
Okay, Alex, can I ask you, Alex?
Well, I have seen some explanation about it, and if you think the Earth, so the line, how you call it in English, numbers like you have the equator, which is 0,
Parallels.
and how
Parallels. They're the lines that go from east to west.
So I believe some important things are on the 33, number 33 parallel, which are connected to the fallen angels when they arrived here. And then I have seen an explanation which is not so beautiful, that when you have 33 and many of them are homosexual, so that it's like 2 behind. It was one.
Oh, I see.
But
oh, right. So basically, we now have an LGBT agenda, don't we, in from the EU, and that's part of the New World Order.
Yeah. But can I say also that the 33. 3 is the 3rd letter of the alphabet, and they use it like 3 or C. It's like in the language, in the coded language, it's used the same. So when you think about how many times you see something which starts with CC, which is like bad for us, climate change, 33. Catholic Church, 33, or cryptocurrency, it leads to the one word currency actually.
Oh,
so when you think about it, because it's maybe the invention of the Freemason and this Antichrist Legion, and the Antichrist is William Van Down, and he says that, and he is the power behind NATO, secret services of EU and Western countries, Hollywood, music industry. So if you see the artists who you recognize as the Illuminati artists, singers, many times they work like impersonators of William Van Down, what he feels. So just I would recommend, if you are artistic, watch its Concert of Hope from 1993 with George Michael. He sings 5 songs, and he is in a magic circle, and he is singing for the head of Illuminati, who is actually just a few weeks older. George Michael was born on 25th of June 1963, and William Van Down was born 20th of May 1963. And he impersonates the head of Illuminati, and watch his left hand, it's devil horns, V for Lucifer, all the time. He does Antichrist sign. X is the sign for the Antichrist. X means Antichrist.
Really? Oh, yeah. Ben, did you know that?
I learned that.
Ben, are you there?
Yes, I am. I didn't know that bit about the X thing. I do know about the 33rd parallel, because the 33rd parallel, of course, this is the 33rd parallel north. I know a lot of strange things have happened on that particular parallel, a lot of sinister things, especially related to war. For example, many of the wars in the Middle East are close to the 33rd parallel. Also, the first atomic bomb was detonated, and the operation was codenamed Trinity, which is biblical, refers to the Christian Trinity. And this was detonated on the 33rd parallel in New Mexico, USA, in 1945. And when that happened, oddly enough, Robert Oppenheimer, the lead scientist, quoted from the Bhagavad Gita. This is a part of the Hindu mythology that he actually basically, it's from basically the Shiva entity. I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. Now, isn't that strange when you see the connection between these dark Hindu creator destroyer gods and CERN, where the Stargate is? And on the subject of them telling you, on the subject of them telling you what they're going to do before they do it, they have to tell you if they're going to kill you, like this thing to do with Trump and this possibility of him being assassinated, which, of course, I pray every day that won't happen. But the reason is it's to do with karma. They believe in their belief system that if they tell you in advance what they're going to do, and it could be some symbolism of Twin Towers in a movie before the 9/11, if they do that and we do not react, we don't respond, in a sense, it becomes our fault. We become accountable for that according to their belief system. It sounds immoral, and it is, but then that's what they're like.
That's true. It's like the Twin Towers. There were basically pictures produced before the Twin Towers actually happened. So yes, they do alert you in advance, and everything is in plain sight. Somebody pointed out to me the other day, you know, the Illuminati have the black and the white, like the chessboard, don't they? And have you seen the police often, or certainly used to have, like black and white chess band round their headgear?
They're all Freemasons. I mean, the Freemasons and the police, very, very closely connected.
Yes. Heather, is there anything you'd like to say about numbers, especially referring perhaps to the Bible?
The only other thing I have to hand is, let's have a look.
Well, the Bible's got the perfect number, hasn't it, in number 7?
Yeah, that's true. I've not really done my research on numbers. I've done more the interpretation of Daniel.
Is there anything you'd like to add then on the interpretation of Daniel then, as for these times that we're in?
Yes. Yeah, they're going to be a fourth beast that's going to represent 4 kings, and they will appear on earth, and it will be different from all the other kingdoms, and it will devour the whole earth, trampling it down and crushing it. And they're going to have 10 horns and 10 kings who will come from the kingdom after them, and another king will arise different to the others, and he will subdue the 3 kings and speak against God and oppress its holy people. And it's like about changing the times and the laws as well, which I think is what's happening currently with regard to the European Union.
So how do we break down the European Union? It will happen eventually, I guess. Ben, have you got any questions from the chat room at all to share with?
I've had none no more. There's one from Harold. Let's have a look. I've been trying to follow it. I've been trying to follow it but
I know it's hard, isn't it? It's hard following the conversation.
Yeah, but let's have a look. There was one. I did see one a few minutes ago. Where is it? There's quite a few people in here actually. So thank you very much, everyone, for posting these questions and things like that.
Do you want to be having a look while I go back to Mike?
Yeah,
Mike,
sure.
is there anything you'd like to say? We normally finish about 10 o'clock. If there's anything you'd like to say, would you like to say it now?
Well, no, other than that, a lot of our problems and the way I've probably attacked them, or not attacked them, but seen them, I've voiced on my website, which I have, which is www.opg.me. opg.me, and I do have some Freemason symbols, symbolic things on there, which I tend to blame. This to me is the reasoning why the courts are going the way they are, and that we're having this situation of satanic, interference with everything that's going on. I know it sounds quite mind-blowing to a lot of people, but I do believe it's what's happening.
Well, I guess you saw the Len Lawrence video. Len Lawrence used to fly, for the benefit of the people at home who've not seen the video yet. I've got a public profile on Facebook, and some of these videos are now available on the public profile. I interviewed Len Lawrence, and he used to fly the royal family around Europe, and he actually flew Margaret Thatcher to the signing of the Maastricht Treaty. And Len became subject to the Court of Protection, and they took all his property and possessions off him. So this is what happened to your mother, and we are seeing that the Court of Protection. I mean, I spoke to John Mills of JML a couple of weeks ago, and I said, we do have a very corrupt court system. For some people, they just don't seem to see that we have this corrupt system.
No,
but it's not about justice, is it, anymore?
No, and it seems that anybody who's speaking the truth, you're going to be silenced one way or another.
Gagged. Yes, I mean, there's a lot of mums who are probably watching tonight, mums especially, that I know, that have had their children taken off them by the secret courts. And, they're gagged, so they can't, they would love to come on shows like this. In fact, I've had a couple of them on before, but then the social services keep a watchful eye on social media in particular and try to shut them down. They gag them. And, when you've got children, you don't want anything to happen to your children, do you?
No. It's shocking what's going on today, especially with the elderly as well as the children. They're just targets in all this, and these are probably the most vulnerable people of society. And they'll do anything to stop you publicizing what the reality is. And I wouldn't have expected in this day and age. I'm 60 and my mum's 79. She'll be 80 next year. I didn't ever expect that we'd have to flee our own country to try and seek some safety in Europe. But it's what we've had to.
Yeah, I mean, you don't expect it. I'm just so glad that you've not been subject to a European arrest warrant.
We've actually tried to get back into court. I've filed several times to apply to have a court hearing about what's happened. And it's just been blocked, completely and utterly blocked. I've been in touch with the CEO of the court, Susan Ackland-Hood, about what is going on with the fraud of the court system. Why can a common man not get an entry to say his piece? Which that's what I've been trying to do for years. And it's all documented on my website. And I've accused her of fraud, running a fraudulent court system.
Well, perhaps, Mike, we've got on Wake Up UK, we've got like a notice board on there, and we like to share videos and what have you. So maybe you can direct people to look at our website and put your details of your website on there and your story.
Yes, I'll do that, yeah.
And I hope that you'll come back on the show and we can talk some more about your case.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you very much for inviting me on.
You're welcome. I know it was all last minute, but and you sort of came across my public profile. But Ben, have you got any questions?
Yes, Danny in the chat box, in the live chat box, has asked a question. What is the real purpose of CERN?
Oh, right. Alex, I think that could be a question for you. Are you there, Alex?
Yes, for me, as I understand it, is this Stargate, to open this Stargate between Saturn and Earth, as they express it. So I believe it's this. And I would also say that when you speak about removing children and pedophilia, it's very much linked to the Illuminati, and it's very much when we are fighting with William Farnow, what he wants to do, he says he wants to have the children, the infants. And sometimes when it's some false flag and I prevented. So he said, reply some, I will take the infants anyway, and I will take them to the underground bases below the sea level, and you can do nothing. So they are after the children. It's very much connected. And then I would also reply to Ben, or say something when Ben said Robert Oppenheimer. According to Fritz Springmeier, the mother of William Van Down is from the family of Oppenheimer. And there is a video, New World Order is coming, on Light Killers, like from 2014. I believe it was published on 12th of June 2014, the day after I have written to police internationally about this Light Killer channel, and it was stopped for 4 years, or for many years, until 2018 to publish the next video. And in that video, there is exactly the quote that you say from about Vishnu and destroyer. Now I become the destroyer of the worlds. And I believe that William Van Down, who is the 666, felt like he is the destroyer of the worlds, because he has in his power all the weaponry like to kill us, but we have the brains to prevent it, I believe, and if we unite, so we can prevent it. But they removed this video for some times, then it came back. So according to the research of Fritz Springmeier, his mother is from the family of Oppenheimer, Robert Oppenheimer. And I have seen somewhere that the Antichrist father will be from the tribe of Dan. And if you hear down, D-N, it's tribe of Dan, I hear. So it's like what I have heard, and the behavior of him is the behavior of the Antichrist. He shows that he is raping children. He's a cannibal. The song of Kesha, I am a cannibal. It's him. It's the
so basically, so just to try to relate it to the normal people who might be finding this sort of conversation quite tricky for because not everybody knows about hybrids who may be watching this show, and maybe not everybody believes in the Illuminati. There is clear evidence anyway that our courts are removing children and they are disappearing. That is a well-known fact, isn't it, Alex?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's also ritualistic, and it's by the courts. We had a case in Sweden, for example. It was a 7-year-old boy. His name is Johansson. It begins with D, not Daniel, but I will remember it later. And they picked him ritualistically, I believe, when he was on he sat on the aircraft with his parents. His mother is from India. They were moving to India, and the situation was on 25th of June 2009. The same day, it's a ritual day, 25th of June 26th of June or 25th of December. It's when the Illuminati sacrifice. So this same day was the triple murder of Michael Jackson, Farrah Fawcett, and Sky Saxon by the Illuminati. They were murdered in United States. The same day, they picked with guns, with police, a 7-year-old child on the flight to when they would go from Stockholm, Sweden, to India to live with the family of mother and work there, the child, and they kept him the services, the social services, and the parents cannot still meet him. And in the beginning, when I saw this, it's the same as in your country when they snatch the children. But later, when I understood the date and the name, like the father is Christer Johansson, Christian, and G his initials, it's like Jesus Christ. And if you take initials of Jesus Christ, J 10, C 3, it's 13, like the code of the Illuminati. So I believe this family was picked to be used in newspaper. The Illuminati newspaper earn a lot of money, and they wanted to see the torture, like when the child, 7-year-old child crying, was removed from parents from the aircraft with guns, with policemen with guns. Absolutely awful situation. And it was some kind of ritual. So they want to take children and they want to have the power to do that. They exercise the power quite openly now also.
It's truly shocking. Heather, would you like to say anything before we wrap up the show?
No, I think I've said enough really about how it all relates
Well, I think,
together.
to be honest, Heather, I think the fact is maybe it'll encourage a few more people to pray about the situation where we now face in the UK, because Brexit is not happening. Theresa May has gone off to her to the UK's funeral, I guess, even though she wasn't wearing black, she was wearing a hat, and she's just gone off to get her next set of orders for the puppet government. And I just feel like from all the serious stuff we've been talking about tonight, remember watching Crime Watch? Do you remember when Jules Dando used to wrap up Crime Watch and say, these cases don't happen very often and sleep tight? Do you remember that, Ben? Did you ever used to watch Crime Watch?
Yes, I remember that program very well, yeah.
And look what happened to Jill Dando.
Exactly. Well, that's a story that you could... I know that the Rich Planet, if you got the Rich Planet channel, Richard D. Hall has done a whole investigation into this, but that was very suspicious, her killing.
Yeah. So I feel like saying, you know, sleep easy tonight. These things don't happen very often, but in actual fact, the feedback I'm getting, they actually do happen a lot more often than we care to admit. Ben, I think you wanted to say something, and I think, have you got any more questions from the chat room at all?
Well, I just wanted to respond to Danny's question, which was the purpose of CERN. It appears that that the effects of CERN are already being felt, and I believe this is what the Mandela effect is. We've discussed this on previous shows. The Mandela effect is where large numbers of people around the world seem to be conflating. In other words, they seem to be having errors of memory, apparently, but they have these errors appear to be focused on the same things. In other words, people are making the same mistakes of memory, which indicates that there's some kind of perhaps a breakdown in the differences between the different parallel universes, because there are many worlds and there's different breaks into very different parallel universes. That's another purpose of CERN. And also, I'm interested in I've read Fritz Springmeier's book, Bloodlines of the Illuminati. I'm interested to know more about the connections with Robert Oppenheimer. I know that he was very, very closely associated with a man called Jack Parsons, a very close colleague of his, who was very close to Aleister Crowley. And there was a ritual carried out at some point in which there was a demonic child conceived by Parsons. It's a long story, but this is the connections with Robert Oppenheimer and the whole project to build this demonic device, the nuclear bomb, which has held the world in fear ever since.
Right. On that note, any questions? Any more questions from the chat room, Ben, before we wrap the show up?
I'll just go and have a look. One moment. I think we probably
Alex, would you like to make a final comment, Alex?
Yeah, I am sorry if it was too advanced, and I am also sorry for my bad English.
Oh no, it's good because it's not. It's the fact that we've got a very mixed audience now, and my idea is to be able to take the mainstream, the narrative, the mainstream narrative, and take it one step further. And so it's good we widen our audience. But sometimes, as I'm a teacher, and it's like I think to myself, oh, will everybody understand that concept? Because it might be very new to them. That's all. So it's good to widen our horizons, and we're never too old to learn. So, Alex, Ben, have we got anything in the chat room at all before we wrap up?
I can't see any more questions, unfortunately.
No more questions. Okay. Well, I'd like to say, firstly, to Ben for helping me in the show tonight and be able to keep tabs on any questions whilst I'm flitting here and there. Alex, Heather, and Mike, thank you so much for coming on the show. Will you all come back again, please?
Yes.
Yes, I'll be glad
Brilliant.
to.
Yeah.
That's great. Alex, and Heather, you'll be on as well again?
Yes.
And Alex, will you come back?
I would love to, absolutely. It was great to speak with you, and the comments and the discussion, absolutely great. I had appreciated very much, and I would appreciate it.
Appreciate you all for coming on and giving up your valuable time. We all do this for free. We don't get paid for it, but the idea is we're seeking the truth. So I'd like to say, finally, thank you to everybody at home listening and watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you again next Monday. I'm CarolineStephens. I've got a public profile on Facebook as well as a private profile, and so there's some videos, interviews on there. So please do take some time out and have a look at those interviews, and I look forward to you joining me next week. Take care. Thank you. Goodbye.